So what a delight to join you all here this morning to help kick off what is sure to be a very impressive experience for people of all ages as part of the ROM's Big Blue March Break series. Out of the Depths is an incredible and inspiring thing to behold. And I know visitors to the ROM will be completely spellbound by this exhibit when it officially opens this Saturday. I am proud of our government's support to the ROM for this exhibition, proud to be your partner as part of our Ontario 150 program. The Blue Whale exhibit, along with several other superb initiatives here at the ROM, will add to the broad range of programming, events, and activities to offer Ontarians and indeed all visitors throughout 2017 an extraordinary array of experiences as we mark our 150th anniversary of Confederation. Ontario 150 is a great opportunity to showcase our innovative spirit, our culture, our community diversity, and what better place in the ROM to celebrate an inclusive and innovative cultural experience. This is Canada's preeminent natural history museum, welcoming more than 1 million people a year, and also an institution that I'm very proud to say supports the diversity of our province. By working with non-for-profit organizations, you are broadening the access and the reach of this incredible array of activities to ensure that newcomer, low-income families are also having the opportunity to enjoy what the rest of us do, the extraordinary cultural treasures here at the ROM. That includes, I'm proud to say, the Syrian refugees that we've welcomed here to Ontario. The ROM has generously provided free admission to those families as they resettle and start a new life in our great province and our great country, and what an extraordinary way to welcome them here. It's really heartwarming, and I congratulate you for that initiative. I want to recognize in particular Josh, my friend Judith John, the VP of Marketing and Communications, someone I've known for a very long time, and the wonderful staff at the ROM for bringing this thought-provoking initiative to life, and for really reaching out to someone like Richard Sears for international experience. I want to thank you all for inviting me to join you here this morning. In closing, I do want to thank the entire team, the curators, the scientists, for your vision and taking what was a tragic moment and in the truest of ways, bringing us closer to the lives of these extraordinary, gentle giants. I want to thank our krill props to Vincent for being here this morning. Really, I just, people who do the mascot thing, really, Vincent, props, okay, really? Well done, well done. He's, what did you say? You said you're dressed to krill? I thought that was very cute. Dressed to krill. Hashtag dressed to krill. Very, very inventive and lovely to see you. You don't see that every day from a podium, I have to say. To all of you, thank you very much again. I look forward to seeing the exhibit, by the way, and to having the time to do that, and to joining everyone who walks through these doors and experiencing the wonder of life below the seas brought to life by this extraordinary group of people. Thank you. Merci de m'avoir invité. Thank you for inviting me. Miigwech.
Thank you so much, Minister McMahon, and we're so pleased you could join us here this morning. We are also so very grateful for the Ontario government's financial support of the ROM's Ontario 150 exhibition program, which includes the Blue Whale story, and will also make possible a whole variety of programming that will go on as part of our Ontario 150 celebration. So we are so grateful to you, Minister, and to the province. Before I invite our curatorial staff to take you into the astonishing world of these deep sea giants, I wanted to recognize the team of scientists, researchers, curators, and many others involved in making all of this possible. I should just say that all of you are aware, of course, of the public galleries and what we express to the public, but you may not be aware that behind the walls here, off-site, often in ways that are not seen, we have 70 researchers, 30 curators, and a wide array of technicians and assistants and researchers of a variety of sorts who are working in 27 countries around the world, so that what you really see on display here is the tip of the research effort that goes on here at the ROM, and you'll get a taste for that as part of this project. Because a project of this magnitude underscores, as I'm mentioning, the world-renowned scientific leadership and conservation efforts of our team. Last year, ROM curators, as I mentioned, worked all over the world in fully 27 different countries and in 5 provinces across Canada. ROM scientists and researchers have been out on the forefronts of discovering, preserving, and interpreting our culture, history, art, and science. It is a level of achievement that we as Canadians can celebrate and take pride in during our 150th year. I'd now like to invite Dr. Mark Engstrom, Senior Curator and Deputy Director of Collections and Research, and such a good colleague and friend to me and so many of us here at the museum, to share with you the blue whale story.
Thank you, Josh. Now, before we start, I wanted to say that I wanted to wear the krill costume, but they told me I couldn't. So, so Vincent got lucky and he got to wear it. So the question is, how did this all start? Well, for several years, I've been working on to build the ROM's collection of whales for research and display. I actually work on small mammals. I work mostly on rodents and bats and so on. But if you want to get people, the public, really interested, you want to get people interested in issues that matter, like conservation biology, I think you need something charismatic, and certainly the whales fill that bill. 3 years ago, I received a call from a colleague in the Department of Fisheries and Oceans who asked if I'd heard the news that 9 blue whales had died in the ice off the coast of Newfoundland, which I hadn't. She put me in touch then with Jack Lawson, who is in the Department of Fisheries and Oceans in Newfoundland, and that started a chain reaction that led to the exhibition you're going to see this morning. And I think I'm going to leave the details of that story for you to see in the exhibition itself. But this has really been a story of collaboration. You know, if it takes a village to raise a child, it takes an entire museum, 2 provinces, the federal government, a community of donors, research organizations like the Mington Islands Cetacean Study Group, and most notably local communities to help build an exhibition. 2 of the blue whales of those 9 eventually washed ashore in 2 communities in Newfoundland in Grossmore National Park. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans granted permission to salvage the whales and help with some logistic support. And then we had the privilege of traveling to Newfoundland and Labrador. And I have to say that Ontario, I live in Ontario, so Ontario has to be my favorite province. But there's really kind of a tie with Newfoundland and Labrador. I absolutely loved being there, and I loved my experiences there. The DFO allowed us to salvage the whales, and then we experienced the generosity and cooperation of the people of Newfoundland and throughout the province, but in particular in Trout River, Woody Point, and Rocky Harbor. There was a whole series of, so actually doing an exhibition, being able to salvage the whales, involved in a long set of negotiations with several communities, with mayors, with town councils, lots of votes, lots of me showing up after a day of working on very smelly whales to ensure a very quick vote in the town council. And so we had to get a lot of permissions, a lot of cooperation. 4 people from Newfoundland helped us work on the whales, along with Research Casting International and my colleagues at the ROM, Jacqueline Miller and Burton Lim, who had the very smelly task of spending 2 weeks dismembering 2 giant whales. And in fact, they are the largest animals that have ever lived by weight. So each of them weighed about 90 tons. Most of which we had to remove and haul off to the local landfill, which I had to arrange to have opened. What happened next is we worked on the whales, played out in the newspapers and television stations of Canada and the world. And I've done lots of whales. We've recovered about 7 or 8 whales around Canada, and nobody's ever cared much. I get maybe 3 or 4 people that watch us. They see that we're from Toronto, so they assume that we actually have no idea what we're doing and that we won't be able to do it. And then eventually they figure out we can and they leave. And that's about it. But these whales had originally captured people's attention because they've been trapped in the ice. The story continued as they landed in the communities, in the local communities. It started to really smell. And they and as we worked on them, the story just, we had lots of reporters there and so on, and it continued to play out. So this has been kind of a story that's gone viral and has been one of the most rewarding that I've been involved with in actually my entire career. We even made it on Saturday Night Live. So that's my 15 minutes of fame, I guess. Recovering these specimens and building the exhibition is an enormous and expensive task. It would not have been possible without support of the government of Newfoundland and Labrador, with the province of Ontario, Memorial University in St. John's. In fact, they paid for the recovery of the Rocky Harbor whale, and fittingly, one of the two whales will be returning to Newfoundland to be on display in St. John's. The many generous donors, including Jean Reed and Don and Nita Reed here locally, the support of the Louise Holly Stone Trust, who helped pay for many of the exhibition materials, the hundreds of people and school kids who contributed to our crowdfunding campaign, who actually really warmed my heart. There were several people, several kids who spent a lot of time saving $40 to contribute to the whale, and they helped make this exhibition happen. And I don't want to, and again, I want to recall the people who helped us work in the field in Newfoundland, including the local people, local communities, but also Research Casting International, who work on mostly dinosaurs typically, but they also helped us with these whales, and my intrepid colleagues here at the ROM. So to all of you, thank you. I think you'll realize that when you go downstairs and see the work, you'll realize it was all worth it. I hope you'll come away from this exhibition with a sense of awe for these magnificent animals, their ecology, their evolution, and their genetics. Get the sense of the kind of work we do here at the Royal Ontario Museum. In fact, we're sequencing the genome of the whale. And get an appreciation for the efforts that are needed to conserve them, and in fact, and most importantly, the marine environments in which they live and in which they inhabit. And in that vein, I'd like to introduce Richard Sears. Richard is the founder and president of the Mington Island Cetacean Study Group, and in fact, that's the group that's actually collected most of the real data on blue whales, and not me, and not other organizations, but it's this group. There's the Mington Island Cetacean Study Group is a nonprofit research organization, and it's really the first to carry out long-term research of St. Lawrence, and certainly the first to carry out long-term study of the Northwest Atlantic populations of blue whales. So let me invite Richard to the podium. Richard?
Good morning. Bonjour tout le monde. Just for the press to let you know, I can also speak French, so in case you have any questions later on. I finally get to meet Mark. I've spoken on the phone with him off and on for, I don't know, maybe 10 years about bones, but finally get to meet him today. And as with most field biologists, I'm probably a lot more comfortable with 10-foot waves than I am in this kind of setting. But I'm very, very happy that our organization has been invited to take part in this exhibit. I think from the little that I saw quickly last night, it's really a marvelous, very well done, and really shows what quite a bit about the natural history of this species. And for someone who works on live animals mostly with our group, it's really gratifying to see this. And I think one of the things we were talking about cutting up whales, which is very really a very smelly job for anybody who's attempted to do it. It's better to be dressed up in Tyvek suits and have goggles on. But I think that most of the time these whales, when they die either by ice entrapment or are struck by a ship, they often get taken to a dump and unceremoniously left buried there, and people forget about it. And I think it's really wonderful to see a museum like this take some bones and bring it to life, and bring to life, through the bones, the life of these animals. And I would encourage other museums to do this, because not just because it's a large animal like a blue whale, it's something that's invaluable. I'd also like to thank a great deal Dave Ireland and Vincent Luck, who Dave has somehow found me through a lot of persistence. And we started a dialogue, which was right away really enjoyable. He's the kind of person that says can a lot more than can't, and somebody that's the kind of way I think. And it got to the point where they were able to come to Mingan and take part with us in the field, and they got quite lucky, both he and Vince. I don't think Vince could have operated the drone the way he did with that outfit on, but he did a remarkable job of getting some images that you're able to see in the museum. And the only thing I would do is probably keep Dave away from catching drones. He seems to catch them coming back to the boat from all angles, and I'm surprised he didn't have more cuts on his face than, well, he didn't in actual fact, because he's obviously quite good at it. But anyway, these are the kind of things that make a group like ours, it gives us a lot more input into the education that goes on around these animals and brings our research to life. And I think this is an invaluable thing for us, but also I'm just, again, reiterating how glad we are to have, and proud we are to have been made part of this whole exhibit. Okay.
Well, thank you, Richard, and I know our team has been so very glad to have been able to collaborate with you on this and hopefully other projects in the future. I'd now like to take a moment to acknowledge the generosity of our valued exhibition partners, some of whom Mark has already mentioned. On the behalf of the museum, I wish to extend a very special thanks to our supporting sponsor, Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. And we are also grateful to, of course, the Ontario government for its Ontario 150 funding, the Louise Hawley Stone Trust, our exhibition partner, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, our media partner, the Toronto Star, and we also want to thank Nita and Don Reed, who generously supported the publication of a really wonderful new children's book entitled The Day the Ocean Disappeared in honor of their grandchildren. A brilliant way to take the ROM home. I'm looking forward to sharing this, this wonderful book with some children that I know. Another fantastic way to take the ROM's Blue Whale experience home is through J. Crew's Garments for Good product line of Blue Whale related shirts and totes. 50% of the proceeds from purchases made at the ROM on these totes and shirts that were really designed on behalf of this particular project that'll be sold in our boutique and J. Crew stores. 50% of the proceeds from these purchases will be donated to the ROM's Blue Whale Research Project. So you'll both be able to look good and also to support environmental and whale-related research. And we sincerely thank J. Crew for supporting the ROM's work and the global understanding and conservation of this threatened species. And finally, a special thanks to all who generously gave to the ROM's Make a Splash campaign sponsored by EQ Bank. We are so honored by the contributions that were made by so many, and there's a mural on the wall which you'll see on the way out of the exhibition which shows you the support of these folks taking part in this crowdfunding activity. And thank you, of course, to all of you for coming today. This has certainly been a morning of celebration, and I particularly want to acknowledge Martha Durden, Chair of the ROM's Board of Trustees, and I think there are a couple of other trustees in the room here today, and we are so thankful for your involvement. And now comes the good stuff. Now I'd like to invite you to experience Out of the Depths, the Blue Whale story. And there are ROM communications staff available to guide you and answer the questions you may have. And the main part is jump in, swim with the whale, see what there is to see. And we are so appreciative of all of your involvement. And I know that you will very much enjoy seeing what we have to share. Thank you all this morning.